All right, then we're back. The Anacortes Boat and Yacht Show.com in the home stretch here as we move closer to that magical 7 o'clock hour. And I see that we've got our next guest there. Hello, Representative Phi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. And I see Graham Balch hanging out in the waiting room. Hi, Graham. Come on in. Is this your first virtual boat show? Is this your first virtual boat show, Representative Phi?
It is.
Yeah.
And
there you are. Hey, Graham. Well,
am I out of the waiting room here?
We're all on. This is great. So what we're doing right now is we've had 25 different interviewees come on board with me throughout these 2 days, and we've had a chance to catch up on the state of affairs in Anacortes, where we typically find ourselves this time of year, working with our friends at the Anacortes Chamber in the port there to sell boats. But this year we're doing it online, but we've heard from Joe Klein of 48 North. We've heard from Troy Buck of Roche Harbor and Neil Falkenberg of West Bay Marina and Marla Kemp and Chef Ethan Stoll and Reggie Daniot talking about food and wine pairing. And now we find ourselves here talking about an exciting new opportunity for boaters to tap into a sales tax exemption that happened just recently. And Graham, you reached out to me and wanted to talk about it on this show. And I'm like, yes, please. So that's how you got to be here. And Representative Phi, you are here to add a little color commentary, I think. But I just wanted to tee this up a little bit. Green Yachts, which is who Graham works for, began in 2019 and it's dedicated to supporting the electric boating community on the water by selling, servicing, and advocating electric power boats. So, Graham, I'm going to stop talking for once, some would say, and hand it off to you and just kind of set the scene here on how we came to be with this sales tax exemption and what it means for Pacific Northwest boaters.
Excellent. And we are happy to be here. And thanks to the Anacortes Boat and Yacht Show for having us as part of it and inviting us to speak about this really exciting and new opportunity for boaters. What I'd like to do is give you an example and then turn it over to Representative Phi to talk a little bit about how this came to be. And then I'll go through some examples of how boaters can take advantage of this opportunity.
Sounds great.
So,
there it is.
There we are. And this is how electric boats qualify for the Washington sales tax exemption.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like I'm having a hard time. There we go. So last week, on the recent sale of an electric boat in June 2020, the buyer is saving over $35,000 by not paying sales tax. If any of you potential buyers want this benefit too, this presentation is going to show you how. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Representative Phi to talk about this bill that he created.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. This is a great example of how the legislative process works. Going into the legislative session, going in late 2018, early 2019, I was putting together a bill that would deal with sales tax exemptions for cars and for commercial vehicles. And I had put a work group together to try to come up and reach consensus on that. And lo and behold, I was approached by Graham and other folks about whether we could add another element to this. And basically my response was, well, if people are willing, then let's give it a chance, because what we're trying to do here was trying to get people to understand the benefits of making a change and using electric technology, whether it's in cars or commercial vehicles, or in this case in boats, a way to get in and get some experience and help businesses get started and develop a market for their products. We can't do this forever. It's going to be of limited duration, but it gives people a chance to get in early and helps the industry sell their product and get consumers more understanding of what the advantages might be of going with an electric vessel. And this was through House Bill 2042 that was signed. I introduced it in mid-February, and it passed first try through, which is very great. So, Graham, there's some more slides coming up, or are you controlling the slides? Okay.
I am. And just the one thing I'd like to point out, because this is relevant to everybody, is that the vessels that qualify from the bill are greater than 15 kilowatts. And we'll give some examples later in the presentation. So here's the next slide.
Okay. So I think I kind of covered that, but we're trying to address climate change and doing it in this case in a way that by providing incentives rather than mandates for people to do things. And it's a new technology, and we certainly want people to not only get interested in it, but want to see businesses that offer this product be successful. If you want to move the next slide, let's see. And there you go. So this is one of those few things, climate work, carbon taxes, et cetera, tends to be a controversial issue in the legislature. Not this bill.
That's incredible.
We had a great majority in the House supporting it. Representative Ed Orcutt was my associate on the Republican side that helped push this through and worked out many of the details with me.
I just want to jump in here and just how hard it is to get a bill passed. In the first year, I don't think there was a lobbyist working this bill. In the last biennium, there were 3,683 bills introduced, and only 769 new laws were created. So it's, as Representative Fye knows, the system is set up oftentimes to not get things done. So to see this done speaks to the consensus and the priority that it was for you, Representative Fye. So hats off.
Right. It is, and especially to get it done in the first year. I mean, that's
incredible.
Most bills, we do things pretty incrementally, which makes a lot of sense. But this one, we were able to get it done in 1 year.
Nice.
Excellent. So the question for you boaters out there is, how do you take advantage of it, and how does it work? So step one is to buy a qualifying boat and or motor, and your broker will help you complete a buyer's retail sales tax exemption certificate. And here's an example of what that certificate looks like. And you can see choice D is for vessels, that's boats, marine vessels equipped with a battery-powered electric marine propulsion system greater than 15 kilowatts. You could also check E here, which is the batteries and the battery packs and the motor that for the vessel. So either a boat or the motor and batteries, in both cases, it has to be greater than 15 kilowatts, because that's what Representative Fye's legislation said was what qualifies. So let's look at a few examples of what qualifies and what doesn't.
Okay.
So first, we've got a small electric motor here. And small electric motors don't qualify for this tax exemption. And obviously here, gas engines, picturing a gas outboard, those clearly don't qualify. What I wanted to do is use this product line from Aquamot, which is a great electric motor manufacturer from Austria. And if you look at their outboards, they have, and I'm going to go over to the right side of this red circle and show you they have a model, the A150E, which is exactly 15,000 watts or 15 kilowatts. That motor is not eligible for the sales tax exemption, and I have clarified this with the Department of Revenue in Washington. You have to have a motor or a boat with a motor that is greater than 15 kilowatts. And so for an Aquamot motor, that would mean the A200E, which is 20,000 watts, or the A250E, which is 25,000 watts, would both qualify. Now, there's some other things that boaters have been asking us about that I want to make sure that you boaters out there understand, because these are good questions.
Yeah.
So can I buy a DIY motor and have that qualify? Well, this is an 18 kilowatt motor. So that is greater than 15 kilowatts. And so you would get a sales tax exemption on the purchase of that motor because it's greater than 15 kilowatts. And then right next to it, this is the question we get asked most often, which is, well, what if it has a diesel generator in it? And the rule is, as long as a battery is directly and only supplying the electric motor, that it qualifies. There is no regulation related to how you are charging that battery bank. The important thing is you have to have an electric motor that is fed only by the battery bank. So in this case, if you have a marine diesel generator as a backup supply to make sure that you have the range that you need, and that diesel generator supplies the battery bank, it qualifies, because the important thing is that this is an electric motor making it an electric boat, and all the power comes from that battery bank. There is no stipulation about how that battery bank is charged, and that's really important for Washington boaters to understand.
Sure.
And here's the result. So this is a Salona S44, which was the sailboat of the year in the United States a few years ago. It has an Ocean Volt 15.5 kilowatt electric motor in it with a marine diesel generator. This boat was bought last week by a buyer, and it is going into the Anacortes Yacht Charter Company's fleet in April 2021. And I want to point out for Representative Fye, as well as the state of Washington, the only reason this boat ended up in Washington helping the local business Anacortes Yacht Charter have great boats in their fleet is because of this tax exemption. The buyer is located elsewhere and was thinking about putting the boat in a charter fleet somewhere else in the world. We told them about this great opportunity in Washington, and it brought the business to Washington because of this tax exemption. And so the buyer wins by saving money through the tax exemption, and the state of Washington and our entire planet wins because Washington is leading the way among states. This is the first and only state in the nation to do this. Washington is leading the way in creating this tax exemption. And in this great instance, this is bringing business to the state of Washington by doing so. So we're very grateful that this tax exemption exists. And we would love to help any buyer who's interested in an electric boat. I'm going to skip forward 1 second to here. So we are exclusively focused on selling electric boats. We believe, as Sail Magazine said in 2018, this is the future of sailing and boating. And we'd love to talk with anybody about electric motors and electric boats and how you can take advantage of this sales tax exemption. And Representative Fye and I both wanted to see if there's anybody who had a question, if there's anything that we can do to shed more information on this opportunity for Washington boaters.
Sweet. And people can text in 206-913-7469. And we've got you for a few more minutes. And then at 5, which is just a few minutes from now, you'll be back in your Zoom room, I believe, right? Is that right, Graham? At
Yes.
Green Yacht Sales, and people can visit you as if they were going to be purchasing a boat for you to ask any questions they have for you. So yeah, really appreciate the presentation. And Representative Fye, it's always great to see you. How are you? You've got to be so busy right now. How are you doing with everything with the shutdown?
Well, we got some challenges out there, and people aren't driving as much, and people aren't riding transit as much, and so my job is to get a transportation budget done and to make sure we keep goods, services, and people moving in the state of Washington. So it's been a busy off season for me.
Yeah, in your free time, you're the chair of the transportation committee. You've got that little side project going on, and I've enjoyed working with you for the last 15 years. The Tacoma City Council, and we've always had so much to work on. So yeah, I appreciate your friendship.
Yeah, and let's get those people to come down and bring their boats down to Tacoma. We've got great marinas down here.
Oh, unbelievable. And what a success story that area of the world is when it comes to boating and taking a super fun site and making it a world-class boating area like Foss Harbor and Foss Landing, and tremendous boating opportunity in the Tacoma area. And our friend Herb Simon, who you know, and Ted Johnson and Dwight Jones, and the whole lot of them have done so much for boating. Do you get a chance to get on the water much, Representative Fye?
Not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Well, Representative Fye, we have an electric boat we could sell you.
Well, there you go. Nice. Well said, Graham. Right on message there.
How nice of you to do that.
Yeah. And you can find Graham and Representative Fye working this out in their breakout room at Green Yachts. So yeah, thanks so much, guys, for helping us add a new component to our speaking series, Ask the Experts. And people can text in their questions at 206-913-7469. Graham, I'm going to give you the second to last word, and then I'm going to let Representative Fye have the last word as we say our goodbyes here. So what's on your mind, Graham?
So we at Green Yachts just want to encourage every Washington boater out there to take a look at electric boats.
Okay.
It makes a big difference for our environment, and it actually is a better boating experience. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of boaters don't know a lot about electric, and we are happy to answer any questions about this new opportunity for Washington boaters.
Yeah, actually, Graham, I had a question real quick before I hang up the Representative Fye. How do you equate electric motor power to that of an outboard?
That's a great question. So a 14 kilowatt motor is generally equivalent to a 30 horsepower motor.
Okay.
So roughly, just to make the math easy, the kilowatts roughly is like 1 to 2 to a horsepower. So a 50 horsepower motor would be like a 25, did I get that right? 25 kilowatt motor, right?
Okay.
So 2 to 1, basically, kilowatts, horsepower to kilowatts.
Got it. Okay. And Representative Fye, why don't you take us out? What do you get off your chest as we say, as we bid you farewell?
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity to say hello to folks and be supportive of businesses in the state of Washington that are trying to do the right thing. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. And again, hats off for being able to get that done in the first year of a piece of legislation that did not have an advocate or necessarily a trade association or a 501c4 or C6 or C3 tied to it. So that's not easy work. So congrats there. And
yep.
Thanks for your time, Graham. Representative Fye, always great to see you. And let's stay in touch as we move forward. Okay.
All right.
All right. So we're going to say goodbye to Graham and Representative Fye, and I'm going to hang out with you for a few more minutes, and we're going to get